Hey guys, what's up? My name's Clouder Chowder and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I do my propagations. I use Dixie cups or off-brand Dixie cups and PON, and then all I do really is I just snip some holes in the bottom of the cups so that some drainage can get through and water can get up to wet the PON. And keep them in a reservoir, like a nursery tray with just like about an inch of water, and that's about it. I just let it do its thing. So if you want to come along and see me do that, let's check it out. So I've got my box of cuttings, and we're going to be using these to make some propagations today. I took them out of the greenhouse a few hours ago, which you'll see the clip of that. And I let them sit for a few hours just so the ends could callus up, and now they're ready to go into PON. So let's just go ahead and do that. All right. First cutting we're going to start with is this Hoya Imperialis. It was the first cutting I took, so I'm going to try to get that one in as soon as possible just because it does look like it's drying out just a little bit. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So I'll take my Dixie cup, and I like to do 2 or 3 slits in the bottom. I'm not going to use those scissors, I'm going to use these scissors. And I just slice a sliver off, and it just goes flying. Pick them up later. So you have this tiny little slit. I'm not sure if you can see it. But you don't want anything big because then the PON will just fall out of the holes. So I'll do this a couple times around the pot. We'll do 3 this time. And I'm just gonna take my PON, which I got straight out of this bag of Lechuza PON. Take that, and we're gonna fill it up halfway. And then, let's see. Gotta remember which side was the bottom. Alright, so then we'll just shove that in there. Try to put that all the way down into the cup. And then we'll just fill the rest of it in, just so it has some support. And there you have it. We've got a Hoya Imperialis in some PON. So I'm just going to do that with all these cuttings, and I'll see you shortly. All right, next we're going to do this Syngonium albo cutting. It's got some nice aerial roots, so I'm expecting it to go very well. I haven't personally rooted my Syngonium albo in PON yet, but I don't worry about it too much. I have a mojito cutting rooting right now, and it's putting off new growth. I'm just waiting on roots, so I think this will do just fine. We're gonna get a base layer of PON, stick this bad boy in, and fill her up. Perfect. Okay, so next we're gonna do this mayoi cutting, philodendron mayoi, and this one has really long internodal spacing, so I'm gonna need to trim it down so that the node is in the pon. So I'm gonna cut maybe to like 1.5 inches left of stem, and we'll do that. And I'm actually gonna set this aside and let it callus up a little bit before I put this in. Same with this one. We're going to trim a little bit off the end and let it sit. Alright, next we're going to do this Hoya obovata cutting. It's already got a decent amount of aerial roots trying to pop off, so this should do nicely in pon. I haven't had any issues with Hoya in pon yet, so I think this will be a pretty smooth one. So we'll get some pon in there and just place it as far as it'll go. And I'll hold it steady while I secure it with more pon. And there we are. All right, next we're gonna move on to some Hoya pubicalyx cuttings. I'm just gonna hold the stem in because it wants to pop out. So we'll hold the stem in place while we pour the pon, and hopefully that'll secure it. And spilled some on the table, but that's fine. We are now safely in the pot. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the mayoi cuttings. There's this one that doesn't have too many aerial roots, but mayoi is like really hard to hurt, so I don't think I'll have any problems rooting this one. I have several others in the greenhouse right now that are all doing just fine. They couldn't care less that I cut them, and the original plant couldn't care less that I cut it. So we'll just do the same thing. This one is kind of U-shaped, so I'm just gonna put it with the leaf up and try to keep the ends out as much as possible, just to prevent rot. So I'm gonna hold it kind of precariously. Until I secure it with the pon. And there we are, the leaf is now sticking out, and as you can see, the two ends are sticking out as well, so they'll be able to callus over completely and not rot because they won't be directly in the pond touching water. This one has pretty long aerial roots, so I'm just guiding those into the cup so that they'll be able to be in the pond, which this one doesn't want to because it's going all crazy. There we go. That'll work. Next up, I have some Philodendron Camposportuanum cuttings. They're just starting to try to mature because you can see the little lobe right here. But I have always had great success with this plant as well, so I'm not worried about rooting it in pond because just like the mayoi, it kind of grows like a weed, so it should be fine. Alright, and last we have some Hoya crystal cuttings. I have 4 of these. It was one long vine, but I chopped it up to make sure I had enough to go into the pot, but not too much so that the node was sticking out, because this likes to be supported by the pond. So I try to bury for Hoyas down to where the leaves are coming out, just so it's nice and secure. And there's one. The important thing to pay attention to when you're doing this with Hoyas is to not put it upside down. It will still root, but it might not grow very well because it's upside down. So just be aware when you're cutting, try to remember which side was down or closest to the plant. Alright, so here's all my cuttings. Everybody is looking pretty good in their little baby pond cups. Last thing to do, which is arguably the most important thing, make sure to label everything. I like to put the name of the plant and the date that I cut it, just so I can have a general idea of how quickly things are rooting for me. I like to do that on my name tags, and then I just shove them down in on the side, and that's about it. So I'll go ahead and do that now, and then I'll show you where I'm going to put them. All right, here we have our army of cuttings ready to go outside into the greenhouse. Looking all cute. And here is the pan that the new props are gonna go in. You can see here are my old propagations. It's got about an inch of water in it. And these guys are all still rooting. Some of them have already rooted, and I just haven't moved them yet, but we're just gonna slide all these bad boys over and then put in the new guys, and that'll be it for today. And here we are. Everybody is happy in their little puddle of water, and we'll check back in on them in a few days and see where we're at. Okay guys, that's about all I had for you today. If you like this video, make sure to like it, and if you have any questions or concerns, make sure to comment down below. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!